it's a big show.
Welcome to the Fade Route
It's a big bad show tonight.
with DNZ.
Yeah, it's a big show.
Here are your hosts,
Cracking up, telling them lies.
DNZ.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D, and we have so much to talk with you about tonight. Naomi Osaka gets heckled, the Yankees and the Braves get better, and our good friend Danny Butler joins us on the en route to discuss the NCAA tournament. But we begin today's show with baseball's back and in fine form. Rob Manfred and Tony Clark heard our podcast last week, and they got a deal done the next day. Opening day is set for April 7th, and we will get 162 games. What do you like and dislike about the new labor agreement, Z?
Well, I'm glad that baseball's back, so there's that. But as I'm looking through this, there's a lot more I don't like than what I do. As far as what I do like that there will be a draft lottery, right? So that way, you don't have the Orioles or the Astros situation from years back where they're actively tanking to get multiple number one picks. I think it is long overdue that a draft lottery was instituted. And granted, the top three teams, the three worst teams, I should say, have the highest percentage, the highest probability. So, you still have a shot if you stink. But at the same time, it could end up being that the ninth worst record gets the number one pick. And you know what? I'm fine with that. It really discourages how business has been going. And I think that is important. The other thing that I do really like as well is that they're considering the international draft. They're extending that time period. They're really going to talk about it. If they institute an international draft, which I think is great. I think it's a great idea for the international draft. It allows the best players to go to the teams that need them the most rather than the team that can afford them. And we're going to talk about Seiya Suzuki in a little bit later, but something like that. The draft pick compensation completely, the qualifying offer goes, you don't have to worry about that anymore. At that point, it's been a formality that they just reject the qualifying offer and they go to free agency. Or you accept the qualifying offer and it's a 1 year, $19 million contract. You don't have to worry about that anymore. International play, not again, but at least they're talking more about the World Baseball Classic. I'm all for that. The World Baseball Classic always seems to entertain. I don't like the fact that they're considering playing international games again. You got a London game because it works so well for football that we're going to keep doing it in baseball as well. In 2025, they're going to be playing on the shores of the Champs-Élysées. They're going to play in Paris, baby. That's very interesting, but I don't necessarily think that's going to help grow the game. You have the DH is universal. I think I've made myself very clear about how I feel about that. I'm not a fan of the universal DH. Service time manipulation, they're working on that, which is fine, but at the same time, ultimately, clubs are going to do what they're going to do. And all in all, it's just a lot of meh here.
It's trash. It's straight trash. It's trash. I don't like any of it. I don't like the DH in the National League. I don't like more playoff teams. We go to 12 teams making the playoffs. larger bases possibly in 2023, a pitch clock possibly in 2023, banning the shift possibly in 2023, where you have to have 2 fielders on each side of the infield. I like the elimination of 7-inning doubleheaders, but that was crap from the beginning, and the ghost runners in extra innings. I hate sponsors on the patches, on the jerseys and helmets. Hate it. That is such minor league. That is such bush league. I hate that the NBA does it, and I hate that baseball has decided to sink to that level where we're going to have sponsors and advertisements on helmets and jerseys. I hate it. Did I say I hated it?
You might have mentioned it once.
I like how players can not be optioned to the minors more than 5 times in a season. That I do like, and I think that's fair. I like the luxury tax penalties. The draft. I mean, you were mentioning earlier about draft. I mean, draft's a crapshoot anyway in baseball. It's not like football where you know what you're gonna get right away. There's I think number 1 picks in football or top 10 picks in football turn out a lot better than in baseball. Same thing for basketball. So I really don't know if that's gonna really stop people from tanking. And you know what? The Astros might have done it, but they rose to glory. They won a championship, and you know what? What does anybody care about that?
Sorry, I'm banging on my garbage can. I'm so sorry about that. That's my apologies.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. If the Tigers and if now the Reds want to tank and get players for 162 games, let them.
I don't know about that. I mean, if the rules were instituted when a guy like, say, Jason Dominguez was available, he would have ended up most likely on the Orioles. Now, chances are he'd already be playing in the big leagues. And you couple that with the new service time regulations, they could have him for a lot longer. And if he's good, he could stick for a very long time. So it's one of those things that the gun-shy Yankees aren't going to bring up their players. But at the same time, what do you have to lose if you're the Orioles? If you're bad, you're going to be bad. But now you don't have to worry about that because you can at least be more competitive than you currently are.
Avoid messy accidents. Get better stopping power with your brake pads. Callahan brake pads. You never know when you'll be driving in the road and there will be a truck tire that you need to avoid and save your family. Callahan Auto. We really care about what's under your hood. Yeah, with the new CBA sign, teams have begun signing and even trading players. Freddie Freeman remains unsigned, but the Braves have traded with Oakland to get Matt Olson, and the Yankees traded away Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez to get Josh Donaldson from the Minnesota Twins. With the new DH in the National League, Nelson Cruz signed with the Washington Nationals. Which moves do you like so far?
It's hard to say, really. I mean, Anthony Rizzo to the Yankees, re-signing, I think that's a good move. He was a good fit for the Yankees last year. A left-handed bat, short porch. Didn't cost you as much as it would have cost to trade for Matt Olson, because Anthony Volpe, the number 1 shortstop in their farm system, was an absolute untouchable if you believe Brian Cashman. And you got to say, the Braves gave up a lot for Matt Olson. Now, granted, Matt Olson signed a contract long term, so they are going to have the services of Olson for the next 8 years, but they gave up their number 1, their number 2, their number 6, and another pitch. So 4 players, 4 prospects for Matt Olson, and we're going to see what Matt Olson is going to be. Granted, his numbers were comparable and exceeded Freddie Freeman, but we'll see how that works, especially now that Ronald Acuna is going to be, he's got to be the guy, which is fine. He's young enough that he should be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been battling Braves fans all week on this, and it's just like, guys, Freddie Freeman was 32 years old, okay? The contract he wanted was going to take him into his late 30s, all right? He won the MVP award. He won us a World Series. It was time to. We couldn't get into that contract. Now, I think it would have been a different story had we lost the World Series. And it's like, okay, bring back Mr. Brave. Because we're close, right? We're really close. We should be able to win a World Series within the next 3 years. But in this situation, it's like you get Matt Olson, who's 27 years old. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. You're going to start to build around him and Acuna now. We're in a new era. We're entering in the next stage of this. And at the end of the day, I trust Braves management. This is an organization that was below 500 in July with their best player, Ronald Acuna, done for the rest of the season. These guys got Rosario. They got Soler. They went and got Josh. Not Josh. What was his name?
Adam Duvall?
No, the guy from the Cubs. Well, he was with, I think, the Dodgers. Jock Peterson. They went and got Jock. They went and got Jock Peterson, and they won the World Series. So, of course, Freddie Freeman's great, and yes, I would have loved him to be on my team, but not for what he's asking for. The Braves, the Yankees walked away from what he was asking. The Tampa Bay Rays walked away from what he's asking. Toronto walked away. Like, everybody's walking away from what he's asking because they've seen the backside of those contracts. They've seen the Albert Pujolses of the world. They've seen the Alex Rodriguez's of the world. Nobody wants to put up with that at the end of a career for a first baseman, even in this era where there's going to be a universal DH. So I wish him well. I think it's great. I think, we talked about, the prospects they gave up, but I'm happy with the guy they got, and you rebuild the farm system. We always have a good farm system. We always have good players. We've got a good scouting department. It's not believe in the process. It's believe in what the front office is doing.
Now, how about what the A's are doing, though? Let's really think about that. They got a haul for Olson. They traded Matt Chapman to the Blue Jays. They got Gunnar Hoagland. They got Kevin Smith, Zach Logue. They got Kirby Snead. They traded Chris Bassett to the Mets. They got JT Ginn, one of their top pitching prospects. They're dangling Frankie Montas, and they're also dangling Sean Manaea. I know the Yankees are interested. I don't know. Like, Oakland is definitely bottoming out, but they're accumulating talent, and I find that very interesting to what they're doing. As far as moves you don't like, we talk about moves we do like, moves we don't like. I hate the Chris Bryant sign.
Yeah.
I hate it. I
can't believe it.
So
are you saying you hate it because he went to Colorado, or are you saying you hate it because you thought the Mets were going to get him and they didn't? What part of it is bothersome to you?
And the fact that he went to Colorado. The move to Colorado shows me he doesn't give a crap about winning.
Do you think maybe he was starting to get nervous because he wasn't being signed and this was the only real offer he was given? Because that's what I'm starting to think. Because when you see Rizzo sign a 2-year, $32 million deal, and now let's be real, Chris Bryant is a former MVP, World Series winner, can play first base. He can play first base. And the Yankees, you tell me the Yankees didn't ask him? The Yankees weren't interested in him? So I just think maybe he's far off on his number, and it was starting to get into the time where it's like, gee, I don't know who's going to sign me. There's not many teams left that have that kind of cash. I
mean, 7 for 182. I mean, those are drunken sailor numbers, right? So yeah. Who is realistically? I mean, it's not the Angels. They have their third baseman. They have Rendon. But Artie Moreno used to be the guy who'd be good for that kind of ridiculous contract.
You're right. Yeah.
The Phillies, could they have signed him and then moved Alec Bohm?
But they just went and got Schwarber, right? They just
brought in Kyle Schwarber to be their DH, or left fielder, however you want to look at it. So you're looking at, I mean, the Red Sox. I mean, maybe they could have brought him in.
Yeah, hard to believe like a team like the Red Sox wasn't interested in. The Blue Jays spending all their money that they're not interested. You know, that's why it seems to me like a desperation play. Like, let's be real, Colorado's not going anywhere. They actually are in the middle of dumping players, right? Trevor Story's gone. They
Tell
traded.
me, how do you think Nolan Arenado feels? I want to be the face of this franchise. Oh, we're going to dump you 10 cents on the dollar to St. Louis.
Right.
Thank
They just
you.
traded their best player away, so they're not in like rebuilding mode. So that's why it makes me feel like, you know what, he was like, man, the market is getting soft, especially now. It's really between him. In my opinion, if I was him, I would be looking at it, man, it's me and Freddie Freeman right now, right? And Carlos Correa. We're the three guys that are left. So, you know, teams, or do teams want me or do they want Carlos Correa? Do teams want me or they want Freddie Freeman? And I would start to get nervous because I wouldn't know where I'm going. There's talk about the Padres being interested in Freddie Freeman. I mean, that'd be wild. But
Yeah, but where are you going to dump Hosmer? Or are you keeping Hosmer to be the DH?
no, you're gonna dump Hosmer. You're gonna dump him, and you'll find teams that are interested in him. In fact, I was surprised the Yankees didn't try to get Hosmer.
I don't know. I'm not sold on Eric Hosmer.
Like if you're looking at the teams, see who left would be who's going after Chris Bryant. Like the only team I could see was the Mets. That's the only team I could see that would be interested in the services of Chris Bryant.
I mean, it depends on how you view your team, right? Because you look at a team like the Nationals just signed Nelson Cruz. You just signed Nelson Cruz so you can trade him at the deadline, right? Ryan Zimmerman retired. Chris Bryant is young enough that he could have been Mr. National Part 2. So you could have accelerated that rebuild process, and building Bryant and Soto together would be an interesting 1-2 punch in that order. I mean, you look at Minnesota, right? I don't know what the hell Minnesota's doing.
They're sellers.
But are they? Because they just added Sonny Gray. Like,
they're sellers. That's why they added Sonny Gray. They're sellers.
I don't know, because you bring in Gary Sanchez, you bring in Gio Urshela. It's a quizzical move because, like, are you treading water? Like, I don't understand that move. You're not going to get anything for those guys. Gray's at the end of his contract. Gary Sanchez is a defensive liability. And then, I mean, Gio Urshela is what Gio Urshela is.
Terrible.
So,
He's terrible. He's like, a 229 hitter? He's awful.
do you love brownies? Of course you love brownies. But you know what's better than a brownie? A delicious, handcrafted, gourmet brownie delivered right to your doorstep. That's what our guys at Sweet Life Brownie Co. offer. Chef Tommy D and the crew offer a dozen delicious delights that you will crave, from the classic OB to Dutch apple to campfire s'mores and many more. Check out their website, sweetlifebrownieco.com, for their Friday brownie drops. At noon, their site goes live and you see what they're making. Since you're there, become a site member and earn points. You earn 50 points just by signing up. Make sure you follow on Instagram and Facebook too, at sweetlifebrownie_co, for the latest updates and their latest releases and creations. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com. Give them a call, 845-641-3043, and tell them D&Z sent you. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com, 845-641-3043. Sweet Life Brownie Co., because there's always room for a brownie.
But while teams were signing and trading players, the Padres announced that Fernando Tatis needs wrist surgery and will be out 3 months. Big deal, little deal, no deal.
In the long term, it's better that it happens now because, you know, you'll at least be able to get them, in theory, you'll be able to get the majority of the season out of Fernando Tatis Jr., but it's, you know, it's got to be a big deal, because when they interviewed him about this, they asked about the motorcycle accident and he said, which one?
Yeah, I think that's the bigger deal for me. The bigger deal was his response to the reporter. But maybe to your surprise, I'm gonna say it's no deal. And the reason is he missed 32 games last year. He still hit 42 bombs, made the All-Star team. I mean, he's quite the talent. He's fragile, but he's quite the talent.
Talent doesn't last forever, man.
And like I said, they're potentially eyeing, from what I'm reading, they're talking Freddie Freeman. I mean, if they get Freddie Freeman, you got Machado and you got Tatis Jr. Jeez, like who else? And who else are we gonna add to this monster team? And Clevenger's there too, right?
Clevenger is there. He's coming back.
He's coming back this year, right?
Now, if I'm them, I'm targeting a guy like, now you sell low. You're selling low, but you're also buying low, and you hope that he turns it around. I'm calling the Yankees, and I'm seeing if they want to do Gleyber Torres for Chris Paddock. If I'm Cashman, they need a shortstop, and I need pitching. It would be a win-win situation. I would at least consider, making that phone call to AJ Preller.
Yeah, I don't know if the Yankees are. I don't know if the Padres are done with Paddock, really. I mean, he had a tough year last year, but he's a stud. And yeah, I get what you're doing. You're buying low on Torres, and I think the Yankees would be appreciative. They might throw Voit in the deal, actually.
It solves their Freddie Freeman problem.
Right. Yeah, I think it's worth Cashman to give a call, because you never know. But I don't know what the Yankees are doing. I don't know what the big plan here is, because Toronto's infield is ridiculous right now. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the team they're putting together in Toronto is unreal. Like, they're going for it, man. They're going for it this year.
It's the Canadian Padres. I mean, we can say it. They are definitely building up an arsenal, and they are loaded for bear. As far as Tatis goes, you definitely, yes, I understand that, he still hit 282. He still had 97 ribbies. He still hit 40-something home runs. But long term, this has to be troublesome if you are the Padres, because your greatest ability is availability, and Tatis cannot stay on the field. And it's shoulder injuries, and it was a rotator cuff, it was a back, it was a wrist. Like, this is, it's not something like it's a hamstring pull. Like, these are things that are going to take, they're going to take some tread off the tire. And to me, it also is an issue of decision making. Like, is this a guy? We just invested $340 million in this dude, and he's pretty fucking reckless.
Yeah, I think you need to put. I'm surprised they didn't put the stipulation in his contract where he can't drive motorcycles. Like, that's the old Jay Will, clause in a contract, or Ben Roethlisberger clause in a contract. I know, like, with a lot of football players, they don't allow them to play basketball during the season because, that's a great way to tear an ACL, because every football player thinks he's a basketball player and a rapper. But,
But enough about Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. So, they've got this guy locked up for so long. He's going to miss 3 months, but odds are he was going to miss 3 months anyway. As long as he comes back and he does his share, it's not a big deal, but they definitely need to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. Are you in need of air care maintenance or service? I have the company for you. Air Care Technicians. They service the Westchester and Northern Bronx area and can help you with all your heating and cooling, maintenance, and service needs. Just give them a call at 914-315-1547. Again, that's 914-315-1547. Or shoot them an email at aircaretechnicians@gmail.com. These guys are the real deal, as they are veteran-owned, licensed, and insured. Make sure to tell them that D&Z sent you. But in bigger news, and I can't believe I buried this story, but Brady's back. That was fast. It killed me to bury this. After 40 days, Tom likes his path to the Super Bowl through the NFC. What does Brady's return mean for the NFL next season?
Well, for starters, he got a month of civilian life, and he's like, nope. Like, oh, Daddy, help me with my math homework. Help me with my math homework. Shit. BA, Jason, let's do this. Let's run it back. Let's run it back. Oh, you got me Russell Gage? Awesome. As far as what it means next year, I think we need to reconsider what we were talking about in terms of who's the best quarterbacks in the league, because Brady's back. Everybody else gets slotted down one. So you have some matchups next year. You got Mahomes. You got Rodgers. You have the upper echelon guys. And I got to see. They already brought back Ryan Jensen. They traded for Shaq Mason. They're remaking the line because Ali Marpet retired. Do they bring back Gronk? Does Gronk, bring in another year? Julio Jones just got released by the Titans. Are you calling Julio? Do you beat the Ravens to Julio Jones? Like, I don't know what the roster construction looks like. You need to bring back either Rojo or Leonard Fournette. Like, you need your running game. You need to get those guys back in the fold. But I think it sews up another division title at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, my phone was blowing up, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was real. I thought it was
because
a
you
joke.
gave up social media for Lent. You shouldn't have done it.
I had no idea. My first thought was I was surprised. I mean, I really thought when he said he was done, he was done. He looked content. And, that fire is burning right now. I wonder if it's going to keep burning 6 months from now. I wonder if it's going to be, in November and late October when you're hurt and, it's raining outside and you're playing. Is it still everything you want it to be? Mm-hmm. I worry that he's too caught up in being a football player and he hasn't been able to disconnect, because everything has been football up until this point, and I'm assuming it's hard to disconnect, especially in a situation for him where he really hasn't analyzed the end. He hasn't said, okay, this is going to be my last year. He's kind of left this open. Ray Lewis was saying, like, I went into my last season knowing it was my last season. And you see these other guys, Peyton, he went into the last season knowing it was his last season. So is it a matter of, Tom's just not sure when his last season is? Steve Young speculated that he thinks Tom wants to finish his career in San Francisco. That would mean that he'd need to finish his contract first and then go to San Francisco. So I don't really know. I agree with you though. At the very least, I mean, this means another NFC South title. I don't see anybody contending with them, even if Deshaun Watson goes to Atlanta. I think the Bucs have now become a more of attractive place for free agents to sign. I think it means Gronk comes back, right? I think it does mean Julio could possibly be there, right? Because you have Julio as the 2, Mike Evans as the 1, and you get to put Godwin in the slot when he gets better.
Well, there is breaking news because Chris Godwin just signed a 3-year extension. So yeah. I know we were concerned about that. So that that team is still formidable, and it just it got whole again with the quarterback signing.
And and let's be real, the path to the championship through the NFC is a lot easier than going through the AFC. I mean, we see all these players now signing with the AFC. We just saw Von Miller sign with the Bills. We saw Khalil Mack get traded to the Chargers. We see everybody. We see Chandler Jones just went to the Raiders. Like, everyone's loading up in the AFC, and the NFC, it's Aaron Rodgers. That's a revolving door. I've swung that door open before, And even in his division, what's he really worried about? The Panthers are rebuilding. He's beat Matt Ryan so many times. I feel bad for the guy. Carolina's rebuilding, so there's no real threat there. It's a matter of getting to the playoffs healthy enough and eventually beating the Packers.
Yeah, the NFC. I mean, if you're looking at it, right?
And I'm not trying to shit on the Rams, but they've been there for like 30 seconds, and I don't believe that they can run it back and be as good. And no discredit to them. And I think the 49ers are good, but they're going to be starting Trey Lance probably. Like, there's a lot of ifs and whats and I don't knows in the NFC, where in the AFC we know, man, you're going to have Josh Allen, you're going to have Pat Mahomes. Now you got this guy, Justin Herbert. You got Russell Wilson. Like, there are some ballers in the AFC.
Oh, absolutely. And if you go division by division, honestly, like, the Rams are definitely going to be there. The Packers are going to be there. I mean, in theory, the Cowboys, but the Cowboys
just lost their one of their best pass rushers
to the Broncos, no less. But yeah, Randy Gregory. But yeah, it's definitely an easier path to at least the championship game.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see what happens. But if Brady is still Brady, and it's hard to believe he isn't, the Buccaneers are easily the second best team in the NFC. And it's not even close. And I mean, if it's on name recognition, then maybe the Rams are number one. Or maybe, if it's just on the strength of the quarterback, maybe it's the Packers. But the NFC has a problem now that Brady is back. And the Bucs, like, they may not have been hungry last year, but I think they're going to be hungry again this year. And if Brady's going out, I don't think he's not going out the way that he was going to go this year. He's going Super Bowl or bust. And he's going to take that team with him, kicking and screaming, because that's what Tom Brady does.
It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? You know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on Fade Route Podcast on IG, or hit that Twitter, FadeRouteDNZ.
Joining us on the In Route today, we have New York Giants fan and New York Yankees insider, Danny Butler. Danny Butler's back on the show. Thanks for coming, Danny.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, lads. How we doing?
Living the dream, DB. Living the dream. Happy St. Patty's.
You too, boys. Good. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
All right, DB. In the history of the NCAA tournament, the majority of the upsets in the first round come in the 8 and 9 and 7 and 10 games. Which teams do you like to pull an upset this week?
Well, like the 8-9 games and the 7-10 games, like the one thing you have to remember that Vegas knows a lot more than the selection committee. So you'll see some lines that where even though it's a 7 seed, where they might have a 10 seed favorite. But in saying that, I really like Memphis. Memphis has been very hot under Penny Hardaway. They got off to a slow start, but they really finished the season strong. I kind of like in the 10-7. I kind of like Davidson to upset Michigan State. Michigan State's been kind of disappointing this year, and Izzo's teams lately in the tournament haven't been great. I know everybody loves Loyola Chicago because they make runs a lot every year, but I think everybody loves them, so I got to stay away from them. So I kind of like Ohio State to win that one. And it's kind of odd in a 7-10 game to see two mid-majors. You got Murray State and San Francisco. I think that could be a very good game because both those teams had great years. When you talk about the spread, you look at something like Vermont, who's a 13 or 14 seed. They're only underdog by 5. So that lets you know, usually that spread to be double digits. That lets you know that the committee maybe knows something that, the rest of us don't. Actually, Vegas knows something the committee doesn't.
Yeah, I gotta think that Ohio State's gonna get out of the first round this time, but yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people like the old lady from Loyola, and they're like, we're gonna
Sister
pick
Jean,
her. Sister Jean, yeah, they're all over that. But this year, Arizona, Gonzaga, Baylor, and Kansas were given number 1 seeds. Any issue with the committee selection, and which number 1 seed do you think is the most talented?
Yeah, I think the committee, they made the right choice in all 4 number 1 seeds. Personally, I don't think any of the 1 seeds are that outstanding. I mean, Gonzaga obviously is going to be a favorite. I think if after they didn't win it last year, I think that was their shot. I think it's very tough. They did a good job reloading, especially after losing a guy like Jalen Suggs. They still have Drew Timme there, who's a great player who I can't stand, by the way. Every time he shoots and does his little dance, I want to throw something at the TV. But,
And his headband.
Yeah, his headband. I can't stand the headband. But, I mean, Gonzaga's very good. I actually think Gonzaga is, like I mentioned Memphis before, that could be a second-round matchup. I actually think Memphis is going to give Gonzaga all they could handle in that game. I think Gonzaga survives, but I think it takes a lot out of them. And I think they lose in the Sweet 16 to a physical UConn team. So that'd be an upset, or in the Sweet 16 for Gonzaga. But
that would be great. I was actually so surprised at how well Arizona played this year, 31-3. I mean, and I feel like the Gonzaga and Baylor have an easier road than Arizona and Kansas do. I don't, that's the only thing that was kind of, when I was making my bracket, I was like, man, it's kind of hard to go against certain teams here. And I felt like I had them going on just because of who they're playing. But I do agree with you. I like UConn. And I do see some differences that are probably going to happen this year. But this is Coach K's final season as the head coach at Duke. The Blue Devils lost their final home game to North Carolina. They lost the ACC championship to Virginia Tech. How far do you have the Blue Devils going in the tournament, and who do you have in your Final Four? And Danny, don't tell me you're going chalk, man.
No, I wouldn't do that. You know that. You know me better than that, D. Come on. I actually have going to the Final Four, and I don't know if that's a nostalgia thing. Not that I'm a Duke fan thing, but I know that's what the tournament's rooting for, and Duke gets every call anyway. I can't imagine the calls they're going to get in Coach K's final year. I actually, like you said, they lost to North Carolina, but that's a rivalry game. That was kind of like a whole circus atmosphere with, Coach K's farewell and everything. It's very easy for a team to kind of get lost in that and lose to the rival. A North Carolina team who was looking to, cement their bid in the tournament. They needed to play well. And then they ran into a hot Virginia Tech team who, as an 11 seed, I think is very live. I actually have them going to the Elite Eight. I have them continuing to stay hot. I think it's going to be good for Duke to get away from Cameron Indoor a little bit. Go out. It won't be at the Coach K show as much in the first couple rounds. As the tournament goes on, it'll get there. Especially if they ever got to the Final Four, that whole week it'll be nothing but Coach K. But Duke, Duke's a very good team. They're not great shooters, which could definitely hurt them in the tournament. Banchero's a great player. He's going to be a top 5 pick. AJ Griffin went to Stepanak, by the way.
Of course.
I like the way he's playing. They also talking about North Carolina. They got RJ Davis too, who might be a top 5 pick. He went to Stepanak. So they got 2 Stepanak kids, playing in the big time schools. Is pretty amazing. By the way, the Stepanak our freshman year beat us once in football and twice in basketball. I mean, everybody beat us that year, but they beat us 3 times. So
yeah, thanks for the reminder on that one. That was a rough one. That was a rough one.
Oh God, Stepanak. Why? Step and crap. Let's not. Let's bury the lead on that one. So a lot of money's actually coming in on Duke. So I don't know if they're trying to adjust the money line accordingly, but a lot of bets are coming in. I had this feeling that I've said it last week. Duke. You don't bet against them. That's for damn sure. But
Danny, Duke is one of your teams with the other 3.
Oh, sorry. I got Duke. I got UCLA coming out of the East. They're a team. Last year they made it. They had a good year, not a great year, but I like them coming back. I got Villanova beating Illinois in the Elite Eight. Illinois is a team I really liked all year, and kind of like one bracket always kind of just turns into like a complete shit show.
Disaster.
So I have Iowa coming out of the Midwest, and then I have UCLA upsetting Duke, Villanova beating Iowa, and I have Villanova going all the way. I really like what I saw out of them all year and watched them a lot in the Big East tournament.
They crushed St. John's, man. That was bad.
Yeah, you got Colin Gillespie and Justin Moore, a veteran backcourt that doesn't let things affect them. The game slows down for them. That's what you need in the tournament. So that's why I like Villanova.
So before we go on to pro sports, Dan, just give us some insight here, because you are one of our resident college basketball experts. And as far as how you pick your brackets, are you what is your method? How do you go about doing that?
Before I look at the brackets and the breakdown of the regions, I have a couple teams in my head that I've followed all year that I really like, but I just try to go by matchups. Very rarely do I have a team just saying, "Oh, this team's going to win it no matter what." I think in college those years are gone. I think the last time I had that was, the second Florida team, the back-to-back with Noah and Crawford and all those guys. I just try to go matchups by matchups and, do not a ton of research, but just enough so you can kind of see maybe an upset coming. But I don't think I've predicted a Final Four in probably, 25 years. Again, a correct Final Four. Don't be calling me an expert now. Put pressure on me.
You're an expert as much as we're experts. And
you do your best under pressure, Danny. We know
exactly.
that.
Yeah. Thanks.
We did our, you can tell by our brackets last year, we'll stick with the pro as much as we can. But we got to hit you with the local sports. The Brooklyn Nets the other night beat the Knicks 110-107. Durant dropped 53.
Yeah.
Since the game was in the Garden, Kyrie could not play, but he could attend the game as a fan.
Yeah,
he sat
makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
You got me. Like it's kind of beyond me. But he sat courtside. He went to the locker room. The Nets did get fined, by the way. The Nets did get fined for allowing him into the locker room. But what are your thoughts on the policy for unvaxxed players, and do you think they'll change the rules come playoff time?
I think they will, and I think more importantly, before playoff time, it'll be opening day, because now, it's been in the media a lot about, some Mets and Yankees, like Aaron Judge in particular, that if this rule stays in effect, they won't be able to play at home, which, these guys are outdoors playing, and they're in the outfield 50, 60 feet apart from each other. None of it's made any sense for a long time now, but I do think it'll be changed. If you saw, I know, Anthony, you were at the Ranger game last night, right?
Yes, sir. I was.
And Governor Hochul got booed pretty loudly, and I think that's the people waking up and having, saying enough's enough with all these mandates that really don't make any sense.
No, I completely, I get people are tired of it, and people are just trying to get back to, some kind of sense of normalcy. But
DB, if you were the GM of the Nets, would you consider going to Jersey to play in the playoffs if you can't have Kyrie play home games in New York?
I mean, I guess that'd be an idea, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I really don't. That logistically, that'd probably be a nightmare. But I guess it's an option.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's possible that Sean Marks could pull that card, but I mean, how much of it's also pulling Kyrie Irving aside? And it's like, dude, come on, like, get the fucking jab already. Like,
Yeah, no, I know, but Kyrie's a different kind of cat. He always has been. Like, whether you agree with him or not, he beats
a different drum.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. But
for sure. So we're gonna switch to football, and free agency's open. Monster trades are going down, and the Giants have gotten into the act a little bit. They brought in John Feliciano. They brought in a lineman from the Colts. They lost Evan Ingram to the Jags. So, I mean, what do you think of the players the Giants have signed so far? And are there any players you feel they missed out on? And who should they be targeting?
Well, first of all, Evan Ingram might be addition by subtraction, because I've never seen an offensive player hurt a team as much as he did. There was more bad things happening.
I thought you'd be happy about that.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, more bad things happen when they threw in the ball than good things. So that might be a blessing in disguise. Joe Shane's he's in a tough spot. We're kind of in the salary cap hell. I think he's doing the best he can. He re-signed Shepard to a team-friendly deal. He got Martinez to take a salary cut, which will help him. They might trade Bradbury. John Feliciano's a solid player. He's a borderline starter, maybe backup. I think if Nick Gates comes back healthy, at least at center, those two will battle out. Lewinsky, the guard they signed from the Colts, I think that's a good under the radar signing. The Colts had the best offensive line in football the last couple of years, and especially run blocking wise, he was one of the reasons why, along with Quentin Nelson. I do like the Tyrod Taylor signing. I think he's a good solid backup. He's mobile. He can come in and win a few games if Jones gets hurt, which he's done pretty much every year of his career so far. And if Jones doesn't pan out this year, at least, and you're looking for a quarterback in next year's draft, then at least you got Tyrod Taylor there to kind of, because he's made a career out of that, just waiting for the new quarterback to take over. I don't think Shane has a lot. He'll probably sign a few under the radar guys. I don't think they have the ability where they are salary cap wise to make a big splash. But I like what he's done so far.
What about come draft time? Do you see them packaging one of the picks, or where do you I mean, there's a lot of moving parts right now with the Russell Wilson trade and the Carson Wentz trade. Can the Giants possibly dip their toe into some kind of trade market? Maybe dangling the 5 and 7, or maybe both. Like, do you see anything on the horizon? Maybe something you would like?
I mean, I would definitely like them to, if it's possible, to trade back and do what they did last year and get a number one, maybe for next year.
Yeah.
Especially out of those 3 tackles. If let's say 2 of them, if not 3, I doubt all 3 of them will be there. But if they're all there at 5 and the Giants have them ranked fairly close, you got to, knowing you can get one of them at 7, I think you got to look for a trade partner. You hope one of these GMs falls in love with a quarterback. I know it's not a great quarterback draft, but every year a GM falls in love with a quarterback and makes a move he shouldn't make. So I could see that happening. Also, if they're looking to trade Bradbury or even Barkley, do you package that in with a deal? Who knows? He does have options. It's going to be very interesting with both the Giants and the Jets having 2 top 10 picks. I don't think we're ever going to see that in New York.
You want picks next year, because next year you got Stroud coming out of Ohio State, right. You got Bryce Young coming out of Alabama, you got Rattler coming out of South Carolina. Like, next year is the year for the quarterback. So if this is Jones's year to see what he's got, and next year if you get another top 10 or top 5 pick, you know where you're going.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I would look at 5 and 7 if it's possible to trade back and get that extra first round for next year, and then you have options if Jones doesn't work out. I agree with you.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get you out of here on this one. Last time we spoke, baseball was in labor hell. We discussed how the Yankees needed to get to work as soon as the CBA was signed. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
We've seen them trade Gio Urshela. We've seen them trade Gary Sanchez. They brought in Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They just re-upped Anthony Rizzo. So what's the next move for the Yankees? What do they need to do? Is it Carlos Correa, or is it maybe dealing some more guys away?
Yeah, I don't see. I think they're using Kiner-Falefa as a placeholder till Volpe and the other prospects can come up hopefully next year. I mean, unless the market for Correa really falls apart and they can get him a lot cheaper than they thought, maybe that makes sense. Even though the trade doesn't blow you away, but I don't hate it as much as some people do. I think we got a lot better defensively. Just get rid of Sanchez alone. I defended Gary a lot more than other people did. But he was like the little girl with the curl, where he was either very good, but then he could be very, very bad. And I think we're just better off, similar to Evan Ingram. I think we're almost better off just cutting the cord, and it might be addition by subtraction. So
they missed out on trading Gary earlier, and also I think they missed out on trading Gleyber Torres like right after the 38 home run season, because you could have got a lot for him. I don't know if there's a market for him now, especially you have DJ LeMahieu, you got Volpe coming up. I don't know where he's going to be playing.
Well, it's also weird roster construction because you also have Luke Voigt, so you got to kind of dump.
He's got to
both
go.
of these guys.
I mean, that guy's got to go.
Voigt. I think Voigt's going to go. If you can package him with a few prospects, maybe to get a number 3 starter, which we still need a little starting depth, or you get a bullpen guy. Yeah, there's no way you can keep Voigt here now with Rizzo back. I like bringing Rizzo back. Yeah, I'd rather have.
Oh, I love Rizzo. Love it.
Yeah, I'd rather have Freeman like we talked about last time I was on, and I'd rather Olsen, but. You look at the Olsen trade; the Braves gave up their 1, 2, 6, and 14 prospects. Yep. That's the equivalent of the Yankees giving up Volpe and Dominguez just as starters, for start. And Yankee fans would be going crazy if that happened. So I think Rizzo was a good solid option. And
there's like 2 years, $30 million, something like that, right? Something low.
2 for 30, 2 for 32, I think.
That's fine. And then so now the question I have for you is: does Garrett Cole punch Josh Donaldson in the face during spring training? Or does that happen the first week of the season?
Yeah, obviously they had the problems last year with him making Cole the face of the sticky stuff, and then he could the rest of the year. They say they worked it out. I think Cashman even said that he reached out to Cole beforehand, which was a good move. You're paying back $400 million.
Yeah, it sounds like he called him and said, "You got one free shot in spring training, just nothing, but just below the shoulders." Below the shoulders, please.
And I think that's part of the reason they brought in Donaldson. Is he is a kind of a fiery guy. He's got an edge to him. I think he's going to have the opposite effect of Nick Swisher back in 2009 when that clubhouse was too buttoned up and they bring in Swisher to kind of like loosen things up. I think this is the opposite. I think under Boone, these guys are just a little too loud. Donaldson, along with a guy like Cole, is there to kind of be like, no, guys, it's about winning. Let's go. So I hope to see that out of Donaldson. Him at Yankee Stadium too. I saw his spray chart. He would have hit 11 to 12 more home runs at Yankee State. Would have been out in Yankee Stadium, especially opposite field. And now you put him in the AL East where he's going to Fenway and Camden Yards for 20 games each. I expect Donaldson to stay healthy, to have a little bit more like he was, with Atlanta a couple of years ago.
I mean, there's definitely an opportunity there, and with this roster construction, he's definitely going to have he's going to split some time DH. You're going to have Stanton, Judge. There's going to be a lot of people rotating through that DH. So, I mean, we'll see where Donaldson goes. But, Tubby Hook Tavern, we know it's big day for you guys. It's like the Super Bowl of bar and restaurants. So, you guys have any specials going on, or what's the deal?
Yeah, we for Patty's Day all week we have all your Irish delicacies, corned beef and cabbage. We have Irish breakfast, fish and chips. The Guinness will be flowing, the Jameson will be pouring. We got a little live music too, so it should be a fun day. And the first round of the tournament. So Patty's Day in the first round of the tournament, I'll be in all my glory, And no more vaccine mandates. So we abided by it when we had to, but you don't need the vaccine anymore to come in. So Kyrie, come on in.
But there it is, Dan Butler, the Tubby Hook Tavern. DB, thank you for coming on the In Route, and he's a member of the In Crowd. And if you want to be a member of the In Crowd, hit us up. Fade Route Podcast on IG, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs at FadeRouteDNZ. DB, thank you so much for coming on, brother, and we will definitely talk to you soon.
Is your hair thinning or is your hairline receding? Scalp micropigmentation will fill in the areas where your hair is missing by creating a short buzz cut look. Micropigmentation is a non-invasive procedure that will create the illusion of hair follicles for 7 to 10 years. For people with alopecia, this could be a permanent fix. For people with scars on their scalp, this is a great way to camouflage a scar. Don't lose confidence or feel like you need to wear a hat wherever you go. Marquez Studio is located in the Bronx and is open for all your scalp micropigmentation needs. Consultations are free and appointments can be made any day of the week. Get your hairline back with scalp micropigmentation. The techs at Marquez Studio have over 30 years of hair cutting experience and can assist you with all of your questions. Call to schedule a consultation today, 646-221-8728. You can also visit them on Instagram at Bronx Marquez to see their gallery and view all their satisfied customers. Again, that is Marquez Studio, located in the Bronx, New York, 646-221-8728.
Bullshit or no shit? We're going to debate this week's most controversial sports topics right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know how it goes. We have a statement. If we agree with the statement, it is no shit. If we disagree with that statement, it is bullshit. Bullshit or no shit. Number 1, Mitchell Trubisky will revitalize his career with the Steelers and make the Pro Bowl.
Oh man, I'm on this. This is no shit. He's got a real coach in Mike Tomlin now. They will play off of Mitch's strengths and give him every opportunity to succeed. So if it doesn't work out in Pittsburgh, it is because of him. I think it's interesting how last year Mitch being a free agent was a non-story, right? And then he signs a 1-year deal with Buffalo. No one says everything. But this year, signing with Pittsburgh, it's a big deal. And it's like last year, everybody loved their quarterback, and this year, nobody likes their quarterback, right? It's like quarterbacks are getting traded, quarterbacks are getting signed. It's been a weird offseason.
It's been a crazy offseason so far. I will concur with that. I mean, you're looking at guys like Tyrod Taylor getting a 2-year deal from the Giants. I would have earmarked Mitchell Trubisky to be, on their radar at least. But I'm going no shit as well from the standpoint of, if you look at his career numbers, he's still 8 games over 500, right? 64 touchdowns, 38 picks. He was a one-time Pro Bowler, but I mean, it's time to be real here. It's a come to Jesus meeting on the Pro Bowl. Is that really a revitalization of your career? Let's be real here.
No.
It's players opting out because, oh, I'm injured.
Or I gotta go to the Super Bowl.
Right, or I'm in the Super Bowl, or I just don't want to fucking come.
No, I did this already.
Yeah.
I got
It's
my
like-
bonus. I'm good.
Right. So is that a revitalization of his career? I don't think so. I mean, a revitalization of his career to me would be that he leads the Steelers to a division title. In
That
a
would
division,
that would be impressive.
in a division with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
And don't
Like-
forget the defending AFC champion,
The Cincinnati Bengals.
who
I
just
didn't
signed
forget about
Alex
them.
Kappa and Ted Karras to their offensive line.
They're finally addressing the line. They almost got Joe Burrow killed multiple times.
No, they're
But,
gonna be formidable this year, man. Those two
you
guys
hope
can-
so.
Those guys can block.
They have no choice. They gotta be. But to me, revitalizing his career, it's definitely, there's some expectations. You're going there to compete with Mason Rudolph. Right. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm going to compete with Mason Rudolph. No, the only thing I can compete with in Mason Rudolph is like who's going to get swung on by Miles Garrett. That's the only thing that I'm competing with Mason Rudolph. Trubisky, it's his job. And unless he totally Matt Flynn's it, I think he'll be fine. But he'll make the Pro Bowl. So I guess by extension, it's bullshit. I'm going to say bullshit because I don't believe the Pro Bowl means revitalizing your career. I think he'll be solid. I think the Steelers are a wild card team with him as presently constructed, especially if the Ravens finally get Julio Jones. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, guys, now you don't have to give up the draft pick compensation. Sign him. Give Lamar Jackson his weapon. And if they do that, I mean, Pittsburgh's in second. But if the Ravens stand pat, Steelers got a shot at that division title. Bullshit or no shit, number 2. Naomi Osaka's mental health is becoming a bigger story than her accomplishments on the tennis court.
Oh man, this is such a tough story. I'm gonna say no shit on this one. This comes up as a woman yelled "You suck" and rattled Osaka over the weekend, to the point where she tried to address the crowd during the match, lost the match in straight sets, and then addressed the crowd after the match. If this is a health thing, I'm not sure what she should do moving forward. If an ignorant comment made by a fan brings you to tears, I mean, jeez, that's tough. And the thing is it's not even true. She's one of the best tennis players in the world, and it's really just a shame.
I'm going no shit on this because it's about her as a person. Personally, she's in a mental state as such that she can be unnerved by a singular comment from a singular fan, right? We used to call that rabbit ears, but it was a different time. It was a less sensitive time. And right now, we need to be cognizant of the fact that people are sensitive to these things. And, she's immensely talented. It goes without saying that she is an immensely talented tennis player. It needs to be about her as a person right now. And her personal life, her personal mental health is overshadowing her talent on the tennis court, as it should, because this is a mental health issue that's playing out in public. Similarly to the Ben Simmons thing. The only difference is that he's in a team sport, in a team environment, and there was just an extra bit of drama because, the organization and he were at an impasse as far as how to treat it. So, I'm going no shit, but I wish her well. I hope she's able to figure out how to cope with this, and if she's able to make it back, and she's able to deal with the rude fans, because I mean, fans are getting ruder, they are getting cruder. I know that there was one incident on a golf tour that they were throwing beer cans on the course. Like, it's just this landscape of fandom is changing, and athletes need to be aware of that. Athletes need to be cognizant of the fact that they may not be universally loved or beloved, and you have to find a way to cope with these issues. Bullshit or no shit number 3. Deshaun Watson will be a Carolina Panther next season.
Man, if you asked me this earlier in the day, I would have said no shit. But I think I'm changing my mind here. I'm gonna say bullshit, because it looks like Atlanta could be getting involved, and he's from Atlanta. He was a ball boy for the Falcons. He knows the Blank family. Yeah, I'm going bullshit right now.
I'm going bullshit as well, but it could be any team in the NFC South that's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I know the Saints were in on him. The Saints were in on him. They met with him today. Carolina is well documented. Atlanta, you mentioned, but Atlanta's tearing it down, man. Atlanta is tearing it down right before our eyes, with Gage being gone and Calvin Ridley being out for the year, and they already traded Julio Jones. Like, and you have Matt Ryan.
Well, I don't know if
Kyle Pitts,
Kyle
Pitts and Cordell Patterson. That's it.
I don't know if you're tearing it down, man, because I heard Jarvis Landry went there today. You signed Jarvis Landry, you signed Deshaun Watson, you trade Matt Ryan to Indianapolis, get some picks, and you're competing. Like, that division, it's up for grabs. I mean, yeah, you got to go through Tom, but, I mean, what about going forward? All the teams in that division, aside from Tampa, are kind of starting over at quarterback.
They are kind of starting over at quarterback, but at least I'm more comfortable with the Saints situation. They have more pieces, and that defense plays. That's the one thing that I have going for me. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm going to try to maneuver my way to New Orleans, because I have a better situation. I'm going to have a better relationship with Michael Thomas. That's the first guy I call if I get traded to New Orleans. I'm making good with Big Mike, because the last couple of years have been kind of a lost 2 years, and then you have Kamara there, and I think you're already in competition. But I know the Cleveland Browns are also in on them, and a dark horse candidate is the Seattle Seahawks. But I mean, Seattle, Watson and Metcalf is very interesting, but I don't know if that's necessarily, a destination spot for me if I'm Deshaun Watson. And then you also have the issue with the Panthers possibly trading Christian McCaffrey. What do I really have there? Robbie Anderson? Like, I don't see. I mean, DJ Moore? Like, it's not. It's not a great situation. So, to me, I'm going bullshit, and I really feel that New Orleans would be the best fit for him at this moment, provided that he's not suspended and there's no additional action taken. I know there's nothing criminal. That's been reported, that there will be no criminal charges, but we'll see if the league takes action. But it just doesn't look good for David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers.
Need a little inspiration in the kitchen? Want to try something new? Or maybe you just need a new YouTube cooking show to binge? Well, I have the answer for all three. As You Eat It, hosted by me, Z. I invite you into my home and show you methods designed to empower and inspire you in the kitchen. Cook how you want to cook, eat how you want to eat. Eat as you eat it. That's As You Eat It, available only on YouTube. AZ, You Eat It. Check it out and let's get cooking. The Fade Store presents the Alleged Superstar of the Week Award.
All right, boys and girls, it is time for the Alleged Superstar of the Week. You know how it goes. We put up a poll after the show, and you vote, and you vote, and you vote, until the next week, when we unveil the winner. And do you know who won last week, D?
I don't.
You don't, but I have a feeling you do. This one was this was very low-hanging fruit. One Mr. Calvin Ridley. If you were placing bets on that, I think you would have won the pony, Calvin. I think you would have won the pony. So, hit us up on our poll at FadeRouteDNZ on Twitter. And again, if you have somebody we missed, put it in the honorable mention, and we'll take it from there. So, who are your Alleged Superstar of the Week nominees, D?
All right, first up, I got Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the highest paid players in Major League Baseball. Fractured his wrist, riding a motorcycle. Come on, your team needs you. Out 3 months with this injury, that's just ridiculous. You're not taking your profession seriously. Up next, I got a team, the Dallas Cowboys, letting Randy Gregory hit the free agency and sign with the Denver Broncos. 16 and a half sacks in 50 games. Guys, you can't tell your players to seek better deals and then you think you're going to sign them. Dallas Cowboys, you are my Alleged Superstar of the Week. And last, and certainly least, the Jaguars, signing Christian Kirk for more money per season than Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, and Adam Thielen. This is a guy who's never had a 1,000-yard season. Jacksonville Jaguars front office, you guys are my Alleged Superstars of the Week. What about you, Z?
That's pretty bad.
Pretty bad, man. What are you doing? What are you doing? Christian Kirk was like, where's the pen? I'm going to sign this thing right now.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not leaving. I'm signing this thing. You gave it to me. I'm taking it.
Exactly. Now, my question is this. Was Evan Ingram waiting outside? Because, he got ridiculous money, too. I don't know what Trent Baalke sees right now, but as far as what the Jaguars brought in, Brandon Sheriff is the only one that, the only signing that I like. They really shored up that offensive line. So, I don't know. And Baalke's saying that in the future, free agency isn't the way they want to go. Well, you could have fooled me, Chief. You could have fooled me. I only have two this week, but they're two pretty big ones. Kyrie Irving. Now, I know. He put up 60. He scored 60. Yes. However, that spectacle at the Garden with him walking around like a prima donna, making sure everybody saw him and he's camera ready, he's sitting courtside, made it all about him. This season has been about him. It's constant. He's Poochie. If everybody follows The Simpsons, you had Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie. It was written into the contract that you always had to talk about Poochie. You had to ask, where's Poochie? Where's Kyrie? How's Kyrie feeling? Dude dropped 60, but he could be doing this all the time. He could be doing this all the damn time if he got the vaccine instead of waiting out the vaccine mandate. So, a bonus one. LeBron James for saying free Kyrie. Kyrie can free himself. Kyrie can make the decision to go get a vaccine and then jump back into playing. So, enough with the free Kyrie stuff, LeBron. Kyrie can free himself. So Kyrie Irving, you are my alleged superstar of the week. And last but not least, the reigning, defending MLS Cup champion NYCFC. Guys, we got to talk about this banner. A 3x4, yes, 3 feet by 4 feet banner to celebrate the first championship in team history. It was unveiled and you saw the zip ties. It was zip tied. It was zip tied to a pole. Are you kidding me, NYCFC? 3x4. You could do better than that. Please do better than that. I understand you don't have a home of your own. I understand that you're a tenant and you probably can't drill into the wall. But dude, you can do better than 3x4. NYCFC, you are my alleged superstar of the week. Those are our nominees. If you have any, please hit us up. Fade Route DNZ on Twitter and comment on the poll. And for our nominees, just do better. Just do better.
Your favorite podcast has its own merch line now. Go to the Fade store with DNZ.com today for all your Fade Route merch needs. I'm talking tank tops, t-shirts, sweatshirts, like yoga pants, we got those too. Like some cool accessories, we got those too. And we're not done yet. We have so much more planned for you, but check out what we have today at the Fade store with DNZ.com. That's the Fade store with DNZ.com.
Order up! All right, boys and girls, it is a special edition of Order Up.
Order up, order up.
In this case, we're not ordering up any particular moments or players or movies or anything like that. You know what time it is. It is tournament time. It is March Madness time. So it is time for us to talk about our brackets. Who you got in the Final Four? And are there any notable first and second round games, D?
Yeah, so I filled out my bracket online, and everybody should too. But I have a couple of surprises in the first round. I got Vermont beating Arkansas. I have Indiana beating St. Mary's, and I have Marquette beating North Carolina. In the second round, I have TCU beating Arizona. I got LSU beating Wisconsin. And I've got Providence beating Iowa. I have Providence actually going pretty far, and I have TCU going pretty far. But ultimately, I decided to go with the Zags, Baylor, Tennessee, and Auburn in the Final Four. So I got 2 1s, a 2, and a 3. How about you, Z?
Not bad. Not bad at all. And you can play along with us too, ladies and gentlemen. We have an ESPN Tournament Challenge bracket. Go sign up today. Pick Route 22. So that's Pick Route 2022. Find us, sign up, enter your bracket. We have one that's already simmed for the podcast. D and I have entered our individual brackets. DB has also entered his. So you could be playing against some big time heavy hitters here. As far as first round upsets, I usually go for like the 5-12s. I'm looking for the 8-9s in traditional fashion. My 2 big upsets, I have UAB over Houston, and I'm taking Indiana over St. Mary's. I just feel like, St. Mary's coming out of the West Coast Conference, they don't really play stiff enough competition, and I think Indiana will definitely exploit that. As far as surprise teams that make a run, I'm with you on Providence. I think that they will definitely make a pretty good run. I actually have them taking out Kansas in the third round. So another 5-12 that you may or may not. I mean, I know you like Iowa. First round, I'm taking Richmond and knock them out. So we'll see how that one goes. But other than that, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward bracket. As far as my final four, I have 2 number 1s, a number 2, and a number 3. So I have Texas Tech and Baylor, and I have
Whoa.
Arizona and Auburn.
Okay. And then who do you have meeting in the championship?
So, yeah, I'm going Baylor, Arizona. I mean, I don't believe in Bruce Pearl. Like, I can't do it. I can't get behind Bruce Pearl.
I know. I felt the same way. I had a tough time going with it, but ultimately, I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I just think it's Auburn's time. And their road is going to be tough. So I mean, it's definitely possible that they don't get there. But
no, totally.
Who's your champion?
So I have Arizona beating Baylor. So for me, it's a Wildcat tournament. But we'll see where it goes. And if you want to join, find our tournament challenge group. Pick Route 2022. Sign up early and make sure you save yourself a spot.
This has been the Fade Route with D and Z. You can catch our podcast on Wednesday night on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time, stay faded, everyone.
We'll talk to you next week. Time for us to run the go route. If you want to get in on the action, we want to hear from you. Hit us up at Fade Route Podcast on IG, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs at Twitter at FadeRouteDNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it. We want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd. Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.